Test 1 2. Right, hello, hello. Hopefully things are working. Let me just double check audio. Got... Seems like OBS thinks I'm okay. Yeah, it sounds alright. 49 days till LD 56. Ooh. I have got it in the calendar, but we'll see closer to the time. Why is Twitch saying bitrate's not good? It's saying 6,000 kilobits. That should be fine. Uh, 18 minutes until the announcement for the theme. Let me update that timer. What's 18 minutes in hours? I can't do point. That's no good. Right, we've got to do a different timer then. Can I do calculations in here? 18. 18 times 60. What are we doing? 1080. And let's set that on our advanced timer. Not the advanced timer, the countdown timer. That looks about right. Does that come up on screen? Let's just check. I feel like there's so many things I need to check, but it kind of looks like it's all still set up to work. Hope it's all good. No, not that I know of. I think Mark, who runs the GMTK channel, just decides what he wants the theme to be. Or maybe it's to do with the patrons of the channel. Something like that. Am I all set up? Right. So I've got 17 minutes until the premiere for the theme announcement. I've done like a rough schedule for what to do. Yeah, I do agree actually, Booksnell. I always think GMTK, I'm not a massive fan of previous themes, but also difficult themes are just more of a challenge, right? And everyone always complains about the LD themes, even though I think they're quite good. So, yeah. Considering I haven't done game dev stuff for a long time, I thought, what better chance to try out Godot? So, I've downloaded it, and that's the extent of what I've done so far. So, in the 16 minutes until the theme's announced, maybe we try and set up a little project and see what we do. Yeah. Well, is it still just Mike doing all the organization and all of the like web development and all that kind of stuff? I haven't done LD for a couple of them. Oh, no. All images on the LD site are broken. Are they actually all? I've got to see this. Oh no. And LD, so LD56, 4th of October. Make sure we get that in the diary. Is this right? 49 days? Yeah. Yeah. I know quite a few people have offered to like help out a number of times, but I can kind of understand like wanting it to be your own thing, but considering how it's happened over the past, it's probably not the it probably needs some help running it. But anyway, yeah. that conversation has gone backwards and forwards so many times over the years. How's how the Domekeeper runs going? I've seen there's been like loads of new updates. I swear every time I like drop into one of your streams, there's something new in Domekeeper now. I really need to update it. You're right, they're all lost. I mean, if he's not paying for hosting of it, if that's what's lapsed, then I guess they could be lost. Yeah, I keep on seeing update notices. I'm like, I need to go back to that at some point. Right, GMTK. Where am I typing? Why is it not in this field? Here we go, GMTK. 2024. Renderer. Forward plus. Mobile or compatibility. Desktop platforms only. I want to do it as a web game, so I guess I've got to use this. I'm not going to do 3D. Only going to be 2D stuff. Can be changed later, that's fine. Version control can be done in Git, sure. Where are we putting this as well? I feel like up to desktop somewhere. Can I do a new folder here? Yep. Godot projects. What's new then? In Domekeeper, I've seen some like new power-ups and whatever they're called. They're not called power-ups though, are they? They're like new Dome features. I can't remember what they're called. It's been so long since I played it. Gadgets, that's it, yeah. Gadgets and supplements. 3 new caves, new enemy, 5 new enemies, new game mode. Whoa. Yeah, I did see they were moving it to Godot 4. And new starting gadgets. Oh yeah, because you were playing with like drones the other day. And that's your like starting gadget instead of the orchard, right? Or those kind of. And they're kind of like mini versions of the octopus that you can unlock. Or the squidly. Guy. Yeah. The drone yard. Ooh. Right, so all I've done so far for Godot is done like a little speed watch through Brackeys' intro to it. I probably got like 20 minutes into it. It was like, okay, I might as well just do this all at the same time. Change to Godot 4 was in preparation for multiplayer. Ooh. Oh yeah, because they were going to do... I can't remember what they were going to call it, but like the 2-player version. Okay. So, from what I understand, everything in Godot is scenes. And you can build up scenes based on other scenes. So we'll see how this goes. This is our assets down here. I think I'm probably going to have to follow along some kind of tutorials and stuff like that, but we'll come to that. I think what I'll do is I'll wait for the theme to be announced and then load up the Brackeys tutorial for Godot, run through it, and then while we're running through the tutorial, kind of be brainstorming ideas in the background. Maybe something like that. I have to see. You suspect more than 2, isn't it? I would say it's probably safer just to go with the 2 to start with. But that would be fun. Godot 4. This is the updated. I think this is 4.3 as well. The one that's 4.3. I don't know if that shows on stream. Yeah. So I think 4.3's just come out quite recently, but I'm not going to know what's new and what's not. So I thought there's no harm in using the most up-to-date version if it's stable. We've got a little Figma set up. Actually, while we're waiting on that, let's put some sections in here. So we're gonna have the main theme. We're gonna have like a brainstorming cloud here. Maybe, we'll see. Let's do reference images. Or inspiration slash reference. Oh, that's a weird slash. I'm trying out this new font here. Reference images. Yeah, because I can't remember where it is. I think it's in here, all the tools and assets. I was starting to have a look through some of these and in some other lists that I've got from other places, and this bit font came up where you can make your own fonts, and they've got a load of public domain fonts available here. So I thought rather than the old pixel art font that I was using before that's quite wide, I thought I'd give it a try. So which one are we using? We're using Born to something. Where is it? Somewhere here. This one, Born to be Sporty, which I thought was quite clear when you read it. So I thought I'd give it a go. Oh, you've been using it since your second LD. Nice. Yeah, I feel like it's at some point worthwhile going through and actually making a couple of fonts, but considering there's so many public domain ones, I think I'm probably just going to lift a few for games for the moment. See how it goes. Have I accidentally paused my music? Yes. I've got to be really careful touching my earphones. I've got like a couple of controls on them now. I accidentally paused it a few times. 6 minutes. Ooh. Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like it's a big time sink to make a font. And it'll be worthwhile doing it, but not during a game jam. It's too easy to do that. So yeah, I'll put in together a rough schedule. This jam runs until Tuesday at 6. Most of this is probably going to change about quite a bit. A little bit late on the stream start, but that's alright. And then Sunday, I'm busy during the day, so I'll lose most of a day there. But considering it's a bit longer than LD, you might have an alright setup. You know, you don't need to make a font, but I can do that when you want to relax. Yeah. I kind of do that with the pixel art stuff. I tend to, when I'm, well, in previous jams, when I get really tired in the evening / night, I find it easier just to like run through and do some pixel art that I don't need to think about too much. And I don't have to provide too much commentary when that's happening as well. 4 minutes. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, I hope you guys have been good. It's been a while since I last streamed. I think it might almost be a year. But hopefully, I know I keep saying this, but hopefully I can get back into streaming now. Got a bit more break between projects. So we'll see how it goes. Do I want to do game design document? I know for Pirate Jam, that's like a 2-week one. Tends to be the recommendation. Well, it's part of the Game Jam submission. You have to submit a game design document. So you do like the first week is more about planning it all. Oh no, no worries. Yeah, 1080p is a bit much on mobile data. Have I just paused it again? What have I? I've got to avoid touching my ears. I've got some little like they're like Bluetooth earphones, and I keep on accidentally touching them. Oh wait, am I restarting it? That's right. Let's go to a new song then. There we go. Where's volume on this now? I think that volume level's alright. Let's do it like that. 2 minutes. Right. Oh, it's just about it. Okay, no. Let's get a little Wi-Fi booster. Did you do the last LD? You did, didn't you? When was the last one? That was only quite. Was that quite recently? Yeah, April. Well, not recently. A few months ago. Oh, that was summoning. I did try and do a little bit of that, but I didn't really get anywhere. Nice. What did you go for? I feel like, actually no, because I was, 60 seconds, here we go. Yeah, summoning's a weird one. I was trying to do a court summons kind of thing. 20th of mood, wow. Nice work. Got to add it to the list of games to play on stream at some point. I assume it's still going to be on itch, right? Yeah, assuming that the LD website still works. Oh no. God. Puzzle, figure it out, game survival thing. That sounds cool. Yeah, so it's somewhere in this list, right? God, that website is so broken now. Premiere will begin shortly. Ooh. Oh yeah, of course. Because some of the games were hosted directly, weren't they? Oh, I hope people haven't lost their games. Do I have to restart for a Premiere, or will it? I assume the video will just load. I don't have to reload the page. There's normally the like crazy colourful countdown thing. Do I need to hop onto Discord and find out what the theme is? No, here we go. There we go. Minute-long countdown. Let's just check. Is this audio being picked up? Yes. Good. Exciting. Here it comes. Oh, that jump. That definitely has not been 30 seconds. Did that jump? Oh no, it has been counting normally. Okay. 20 seconds. I think this is just like a 1 minute announcement video, right? I think that's how it's done in the past. a little bit.
GMTK Game Jam 2024 begins right now. Your goal over the
Please
next
be a good
4
theme.
days
Please be a
is to
good
make
theme.
a game that fits the following theme. Built to scale. That's right. I want to see games that make size, scale, and dimensions a key part of the gameplay. I want to see games about teeny tiny microscopic things.
Built to scale.
Games about absolutely enormous, cosmically massive things. I want to see games
Hey,
where big things
Full Bomb
become
Rip,
small
how's it going?
and small things become big. As always, you can interpret this theme however you like. Use it as a jumping off point. So get creative,
Built to scale.
outside the box, and surprise us. In this jam, you can work with who you want, use whatever tools you like, and
Small
make
things
use
become
of
big.
whatever assets you can get your hands on. But please do check out the GMTK Game Jam page on itch.io for the complete rules. You can also head to our Discord channel to chat with other jammers, show off your work, and get feedback. Remember that this
You do a game like that
twice
one
as much
game.
time as before, so please use those
As in the,
extra hours to take lots of breaks and get some
what's it called? Superliminal?
Anyway,
The one that
I
showed.
better let you get started.
Yeah.
Best of luck, have fun, and I'll see you when the results are in.
Yeah. Scales for weighing. Right, let's just have another quick look at that.
Next 4 days is to make a game that fits the following theme. Built to scale. That's right. I want to see games that make size, scale, and dimensions a key part of the gameplay. I want to see games about teeny tiny microscopic things. I want to see games about
Tiny lizards.
enormous, cosmically massive things. I want to see games where big things become small and small things become big. As always, you can interpret this theme however you like. Use it as a jumping off point. So get creative, think outside the box, and surprise us. In this jam, you can work with who you want, use whatever tools you like, and make use of
then it's just the
whatever-
rules. Right, okay, so built to scale. Let's get the music back on. Right, so we'll do a quick brainstorming. So built to scale. Let's close that. We don't necessarily need this open. And then the other thing I want to do is find that Brackeys Godot video. Wait, is that timer just reset? Brackeys Godot. There we go. So I think it's this one. And then there's another video about the scripts. So 1 hour and 20, but I won't need all of that. It will just be like swapping over to things and seeing how they work as and when I need bits. Right, built to scale, obviously like... Oh yes, thank you. That can just go now actually. And we'll change this to... Theme is built to scale. Let's do it. All caps. Built to scale. Okay, and transition. That's cut off. Great. There we go. And let's put that. We'll put that top left now. And actually, let's move these up to the top. God, there's so much setup stuff on OBS that it would be so much nicer if everything was on a grid. Or like snap to each other. try that. How's that look? Bit of overlap. Maybe there. Couple more. There we go. Right, built to scale. So, like, solar system. The problem is with, like, examples in the theme announcement video. They're just the ones that immediately go into my mind. So, weights and scales. Fish. Fish scales. I wonder how much like subversion of the theme they like in GMTK, because that's sometimes good and sometimes bad in Loon Dare jams. Some people are like, oh, this is nothing to do with the theme. And it's like, well, it kind of is. What are those old games where you like eat smaller things to get larger? Eat small. Tasty Planet. This one I remember, and this one, the Big Fish game. Those kind of things are always quite fun. It's nothing new though. Let's just put that in, just as a memory aid. What else can we do? You can go like microscopic with what, bacteria, cells, that kind of stuff. There's architecture, and like blueprints. That stuff could be interesting. Maybe you could have an option where, let me just turn the music down a little bit. Needs to go, but good luck. Thanks. Thank you. Hope we can catch you later. Yeah, fingers crossed. Thanks for dropping in, and good to see you again. Yeah, hopefully over the weekend I'm going to be streaming a fair amount for this. It's just not Sunday. Sunday there'll be a bit of a gap, but most of the rest of that, as long as stream's all going well, fingers crossed. So I hope to catch you then. What else can we do? Ooh, a lizard climbing game. That's quite cool. Yeah, climbing. That's a nice interpretation of it. I don't know if many people will change to that. Scaling buildings, etc. Ooh, yeah. Like, even just like designing climbing wall routes. create buildings. Wall climbing. Or even like creating vehicles. That have to, like for assault courses or something like that. So by like designing the vehicle, you're building it to like get to the end of the course. The only problem with that is then building out that whole system of allowing the player to design an in-game object, which, considering I've never used Godot, I think that might be quite a big ask. I don't know how easy it is to do that kind of stuff. I guess if you've just got rules on different components that they can then combine, and as long as you limit like the number of components and the number of interactions, that kind of stuff, maybe I could have it that it's like fixed chassis that you can work with, and then I don't have to worry about like crazy designs that people come up with. I quite like this so far. I do like the big fish game, but I think that's going to be boring. What's the donut hole game? Donut County. It's kind of just something that scales with the game. It's not necessarily... Yeah, we're leaning into scale. But I don't think that works. I mean, they were showing Katamari, that's probably why these like grow games are in my head. Okay, maybe let's do a bit of a word cloud then. Let's just size this properly. Is there a new line there? Yeah, there is. There we go. Right, let's put the theme in as well. So, built to scale. Ooh. Let's just make that a bit bigger. Right, so we'll put scale on the right hand side here. And we're going to put built over here. Right, so scales, you've got like fish scales or lizard scales. We've got weighing scales. We've got like justice. Oh, justice. What's that statue? It is the Statue of Justice. Is it the Statue of Justice it's called? Something like that. Lady Justice. But with the scales. Yeah. Or blind... Is it Blind Justice? They are normally blindfolded, aren't they? But yeah, it's just to represent like balance and justice, isn't it? I think we can just do that. What else? Libra. That's scales, isn't it? Actually, let's bump this. We'll bump these ones down. Let's go to like an 80. Just so we got a sense of hierarchy on these. And then built. Let's see what we can do with this. We've got construction. We've got like body type, I guess. I'm thinking like how if you say someone's built, like they're muscly, they go to the gym, that kind of thing. That's probably enough. Need to figure out that. What other built? Got like inventions. Inventions. Why does that look wrong? It doesn't. I don't need a title in that section. What else can we think of? Let's have a look at the scale. We've got musical scales. Music. There's loads of scales, actually. There's like weather scales. So like storm, earthquake severity kind of stuff. Earthquake. Just completely ignored half the word there. Earthquake. Scale insects. Are there things called scale insects? I've never heard of them before. No, really? You tempted to do another lefty? It is lefty the snail, isn't it? In your game series? You got a free weekend to do a quick game jam? Let's see what definitions we've got. Yeah, scales on fish and reptiles. Flake of skin. You just need another Think of the title for it. You tend to do alliteration on your titles, don't you? Covering your deposit? Oh, like limescale kind of stuff. It's not really that interesting a topic for a game jam, I don't think, but I'll put it down. Is that your process for game jams, is to come up with the title first and then build on that? Remove scale from. Scale, okay, to scale something. Yeah, okay. Okay, and then we've got these other ones. An instrument used for weighing, balanced pair of scales, usually a device, electronics, bathroom scales, sign of the zodiac. Large drinking container for beer. Alliteration title first, game idea second. only half joking. Right. To tip the scales. Graduated range of values, which we've got on our weather implementation. Or weather interpretation. Series of marks, yeah. Relative size or extent of something. Ratio size of a map. Notes of music, yeah. Mathematical scales. Let's add in that. Put it here, yep. Maths. What else? Mathematical photography scales. Yeah, music scales. To climb something, yeah. Different dimensions. Okay, so there's quite a lot of variations there. What about built? Let's see if there's any. Yeah, physical side of build. Yep. Construction. Compile. Nothing really jumping out here. Make stronger or more tense. Okay. And then combined then. Let's just put a 2 in the middle here. Right, and then at the top here we're going to do architecture, and like designs. Okay, so some of these are always going to be way worse than others. I'm leaning a bit towards the idea of like building something. Is there something around the idea of not knowing the size of blueprints and having to figure out what it applies to? Can't really think of anything there. Anything to do with architecture? Or maybe like some kind of machine that changes the scale of things. Change scale of game objects. I don't know if they're called game objects in Godot. So have some kind of like puzzle, and you have to solve it by finding the right objects and setting them to the right size. Pass them through these machines. Maybe something there. Problem is that would just be kind of easy, won't it? The problem is, if I'm doing a 2D game, there's only really so much you can change scales and affect a puzzle. Like you'd have the standard balancing puzzles, make stuff the right weight so that things balance, or do that kind of thing. It kind of comes back to that superliminal game that I think a lot of the puzzles were just like, well, included just make things big enough to use to escape. I've not played it, I've seen like little sections of it, so from what I saw, I know some of the times you had to like align things up to the correct size. Maybe there's that. Ooh. Maybe you have to like find items in the environment and change the scale of them to build into a blueprint. I think there's potentially an idea there. It could be a big one. Could be a bit too much scope. I mean, actually, even like scope of a game is kind of the scale. Like scope of a project. You could do a whole like meta game jam where the game is about picking the right scope of a game or scope of a project so that you can build it in time and have it all like self-referencing, but I don't know, that's going to be a bit tricky to write. What else could we do? Let's just check on the other stream, both working, I hope. Just a quick test. That looks like it's still fine. Yeah, cool. I kind of like that idea though. Like blueprints for items. Find relevant. Find similar shapes in the environment. Change scale of objects to create item. That kind of thing. It's a bit like point and click. It's like hidden objects kind of vibes. Maybe. Okay, I'm gonna have a little think on that idea as we go. So let's have a little look at what we need to do to set up our project in Godot. So what's going to be the best way to do this? Can we have... You might want this window separate. So I can put it on another screen and then it still show up in a corner somewhere while we do our project. Okay, so let's add window capture, and it's like a research screen. Research screen, let's do that. And we want this to capture this window, that's fine. Don't need to capture cursor, don't need to capture audio. Client area, I don't know what that means. Let's try that. That looks okay, let me just resize it. And what's going to be a blank corner? Maybe bottom right? Let's try that. And then I can move this to another screen. How's that looking? To live view. Yeah, might be able to follow on like that. Can still see chats, that's fine. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna pause the music briefly. I think we're just gonna probably only need to go up to like
whichever you prefer. If you want to use it to make a game,
few bits.
come to the right place. I've been making video games for more than 14 years now, and recently.
So we had a little look at this before. This is Brackeys' video game tutorial. I'll put a link in the description and I'll just put it in chat.
And completely free to use. Now you probably have a bunch of ideas of games that would be cool to make.
That needs to
But now
go
if you're dreaming
into.
of making an FPS, a 2D
Can I do it here?
platformer, or
Think I
anything in
can.
between using Godot, the first step is of course to install it. Now this process might be a bit
Brackeys.
tedious, but bear with me now. We go to godotengine.org, press download latest.
Okay, we've already done this bit, so just while I can
This is a
update
huge advantage of Godot.
the description
It's
for YouTube,
really lightweight,
Brackeys,
quick, and
Godot,
run in the browser. You might want to
beginner
copy this folder and
tutorial.
place it somewhere you remember. But other than that,
Cool.
we're ready to open up Godot. So let's double click it.
And now that
instead
should
of
show
clicking
in
let's
there.
look at some example projects. I'll just press cancel. Then we can press new.
Okay, is
name
this
our
loud enough?
project,
I think
say,
I might
first
bump
game.
up the
I'm
volume
gonna
a
place
bit.
mine on my desktop under my games folder. Let's create a separate folder for first game. So hit create folder and create and edit. And here we are, a clean slate,
Okay,
a blank canvas. Oh, I am so ready to make this game about. Well, this might be a good time to decide what our game will be about. But first, this video is sponsored by Zenva. If you're excited about Godot 4, make sure to check out
Should really
Zenva
play the-
Academy. They offer
the sponsored
comprehensive
section as
beginner
well.
and intermediate courses, including a fantastic free introductory course.
considering I'm going to be using
What's
it.
really cool about Zenva is how they combine fun and practical learning through professional video tutorials, written lessons, and interactive quizzes. Plus, you'll be building real projects across
So
various
from what I
genres, from
understand,
RPG
everything
to
is
bullet
based
hells.
around these
Zenva
nodes.
also has a wide range of courses on Python, Unity, Unreal, and other essential
And we've got them
tools.
all in
With the single
here.
subscription, which includes a 7-day
And the
free
control is
trial,
all for
you unlock
UI
over
stuff.
250 courses. Use the coupon code below to get an extra 20% off the first year of your Zenva subscription.
should
on
be
top of any
okay.
existing site-wide discounts. The offer is valid for the first 50 subscribers, so make sure to use your coupon today to start your game dev adventure. So, in the spirit of learning the basics of the engine and giving you an overview of how
So I
you
think
can
what I
start
want to do
using
is
it to
like
make
set up the
games, I've
UI
put together
today,
the most basic game
because
I
that's
can
going to
imagine.
be
Think of it like food
for like the main
without
menu
salt.
and stuff like that.
Doesn't
That's
have
going to be
much flavor, but it does have
regardless
a
of what
player,
eventual game
enemies,
we make.
moving platforms, collectible coins, and most importantly, it should get you familiar with the engine in no time. Also, we'll be working in 2D, but another really cool thing about Godot is that it's very easy to transfer 2D concepts to 3D. So don't worry, if your dream game is in 3D, most of what you learn here is going to directly apply. As for programming, Godot uses its own scripting language called GDScript. It's pretty fast and easy to
And
use,
also,
but still
let's
quite
update
powerful.
what we're working
We'll do
on.
a bit of programming in this video to get you started, but the main focus is really to get familiar with Godot as a whole and to
Tutorial.
get a game up and running. Because of this, I don't
Or
expect
intro,
you to fully
let's just
understand
do.
all the code you see. Feel free to write after me or just lean back and observe. Our next video
Setup?
will be about learning to program in GDScript. Alright, I promised you food without salt, so
Let's do that.
let's get cooking.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm going to skip through this section. It was just
To the
some jokes.
CC0 feel comfortable. Import
About using assets? Okay.
Our assets. Let's right click, new folder, and name it assets. Let's also make one for scripts and scenes that we can use later. Now we can simply drag
Scripts
and drop our assets into
and
the asset folder.
scenes.
So I'll select the assets folder, open up my assets here. I'm going to select all the subfolders.
We're not
and
going to be
click and
using
drag them
the
into Godot. And voila!
assets that he's made for this, but they are all available in the description of that website, where get the assets there.
We can now see and use all of our assets in Godot. So now we're ready to make our game. So let's talk about how we do that. To make anything in Godot, we use nodes. If we want to make a player character, we do so by
I'm
putting
going to go
together
slightly
a bunch
faster
of
on
nodes.
this.
If we want to make an enemy, we do so by putting together nodes. If we want to make a main menu, you guessed it, we use nodes. So nodes are the fundamental building blocks of your game. And nodes come in many types. Some display an image, others play a sound or add physics. And we can even extend existing nodes to build more powerful ones. So in its essence, making a game in Godot is combining and extending nodes to get the result we're looking for. It's a super creative and fun process. But building everything in one big world with nodes for the player, enemies, UI, and a bunch of levels all in one place would quickly become completely unmanageable and confusing. Instead, we use scenes. Scenes allow us to bundle together nodes into reusable packages. A scene can be a character, a weapon, a menu. They can be as small as a single collectible coin or an entire level. Scenes make it really easy to focus on building one part of our game at a time, and then slowly combining them to make our game larger and larger.
So nodes are like all the properties and the like functionality of a game object, and scenes are like modules that you use to build up
This is because we can put scenes
Other
inside of other scenes, which is called
objects,
nesting, and
other
allows us to take,
like
say,
basically
a
the
player
whole
scene,
game.
a platform scene, and a collectible coin
That's
scene,
my
and put them
understanding
all inside
so
of another
far.
scene, say a level 1 scene. And even cooler, since scenes are reusable, we can make a scene only once and then use it all over our game. We can make many levels that all use the same collectible coin scene. And if we want to change something about our coin, we simply edit the scene, and it automatically updates everywhere else. As you can see, all the nodes and scenes in our game start to resemble a tree-like structure. And that's exactly what we call it, the scene tree. And fittingly, we call the node at the very beginning of the tree the root. So now that we know a bit about how Godot works, let's start by making the most essential part of our game, the player character. Player 1.0. So let's create a scene where we'll put everything together. This is going to be a 2D game, so I'll select 2D scene. And let's rename this from node 2D to game. And even though it's empty, let's go ahead and save it. So hit Ctrl S, go under scenes, and let's save it here. And now we can actually play our game. It's not going to be very exciting, but let's try it out. So let's hit play up here, or simply press F5. It's going to tell us that we haven't selected a main scene. We need to tell Godot which scene to run.
So we
I'm just
save
gonna press
this
select current, and
under
you can see that our
scene.
game scene becomes blue to let us know that this
That's
is now
going to be our
main
game scene.
And as you can
Okay.
see, not much is happening here. So let's stop playing by hitting the stop icon here or pressing F8. And let's put in a player to make it more exciting. So first off, let's create a new scene by hitting the plus sign up here. And this will be our player scene. And the root node for our player is going to be what is called a character body 2D. So let's add a new node by pressing the plus here or hitting Ctrl A. And let's search for character body 2D. As you can see, this is a 2D physics body that is specialized for characters moved by script. So it's perfect for
Well, we
a
can
player
have
character
a
that we want to be
character,
able to
so that's
live in
fine.
the environment. So let's hit create. And now we can see our node here, but we can't actually see our player in the scene. So let's add some graphics. Let's add another
And it
node. I'm going
needs
to hit Control A,
collider.
and let's search for sprite. And as you can see, we can choose a single sprite, or in our case, we want to create an animated character. So let's choose the animated sprite 2D. Sprites are just what we call images in our 2D world. Now, with this node selected, we can use the inspector here on the right to change properties on that node. If we select a different node, say our character body 2D, we can now see the properties on that node instead. So our inspector allows us to change things about a node.
Wait, we
In our
didn't
animated
select
sprite
this.
2D, we want to add some
Wait. Maybe this was a separate thing. Can I move it above? Can I move it separate? Why has he not got no 2D in the side here? I did something different. Let's close that. Don't save it. We'll do a new scene. And we add our character. Oh, wait. What's happening? No, all fine. So character. Right, okay. There we go. And then animated. Sprite 2D.
animations.
And then-
And we want to give it some sprite frames, the individual frames that will make up our animation. So let's click here and add a new sprite frames. And now with this selected, we can see that it will open up the sprite frames window at the bottom. And in this window, we're going to
Okay, we need to come back to that when we've actually got some graphics made.
press this tiny icon here.
So can we skip
This is called-
through?
we need to configure the grid frame. And always, we can also click, but apply immediately. I'm gonna here in the scene view. The physics engine is a bit smaller. Grab go search to.
So this is
having colliders
adding a
that are too large.
collider to it. To our animated body. Oh. Collider. Collision shape 2D? Yeah. Shape must be select a shape resource, which is going to be probably a capsule. Tends to be good for a player. That's where all of our stuff is. Let's reset that. So it's at the base, that's fine. What does this not like? This needs sprite frames, which are going to be in here. But I need to build up a character for that. So let's save this for the moment as our character. Do we save it as character body 2D? No, let's save this as player. And I assume we can add scripts like movement controls and stuff like that separately.
Is simply going to be frustrating when playing. So let's now rename the top node here to player.
I feel like we need to just make a little character so we can use that for a placeholder. See if I've got anything available from previous jams that I could just use. Pixel art somewhere there. I could use King of the Ring stuff. Do I still have any of that stuff? No. That's no good. Do I have a sprite sheet here? Maybe I can use my ferryman ones. Let's see.
What is called a character body 2D. So let's add a new node by pressing the plus here or hitting control. Our characters see our node here, control.
Right,
add
let's see where we added
in. And as you can see,
here.
let's click that at the bottom. And in this window, we're going to press this tiny icon here that lets us add frames from.
Tiny icon here. Yes. Okay, so in our assets, we want to bring in this one. Can I just bring it straight in like that? Maybe. Let's do that. And what have we got? We got, can I just scroll? That's good. That looks right. And how many rows have we got? That looks right. Oh, okay. Wait, what? We need to click on them in the right order. Let's just do those 7 for now. 8 even. And then if we click play, does it? That'll do. Oh, wait, why is it? The way it's drawn is off. Texture. Ordering. No. Material. No. Process. No. I know he covers it in the video, but I want to figure out if I can find it. Basically, just I've got to say that this is pixel art, so don't put the aliasing on it. Now, where is that? Filter properties, no. Animation default, that's fine. None of the offsets, none of the transforms. Visibility, maybe in here. Visible, light layer, visibility layer, that's fine. Ordering, note texture. Nearest? There we go. That's the one. Okay. So now we've got this, we've got our sprite. Let's make this a bit more accurate. Maybe we just want to have it there. Okay.
From a sprite sheet. So let's click that, go into our assets, under our sprites, let's find our knight.png. And as you can see, I've gone ahead and packed all the different sprite frames of the knight's animation into a single image. This is called an image for each single frame, which would quickly become an unmanageable amount of files. Now to start adding these frames in, we first need to configure the grid here. Currently it's set to 4 by 4. Let's just
we've done this.
Enter our character on the screen.
We've imported.
Change this from linear to nearest, which will immediately make our pixel art look crisp. Then we can select our table this.
Oh wait, that's an overall one.
Select these 4 frames.
Let's see where that is.
Art, which rerequires really hard edges.
So I don't need to change every single thing that I import.
To make textures look better, but applied to pixel art, that is definitely not the case. So let's simply disable this. So let's go to
settings.
Project settings. Let's go under rendering to textures, and here
rendering. No, under rendering for textures, and this needs to be nearest. Okay. Cool.
On the default texture filter, let's change this from linear to nearest, which will immediately make our pixel art look crisp. Then we can select our animated sprite. Let's try playing the animation. That looks great. I'm going to increase the FPS here to 10 to make it go a bit faster. I'm also going to rename the animation here to idle. I'm going to enable autoplay to make sure it plays right when we start the game. And finally, I'm going to take this sprite here and move it up to make it kind of...
Wait. So, I was looking at something else there. I was looking at the other options here.
FPS here to 10 to make it go a bit faster. I'm also going to rename the animation here to idle. I'm going to enable autoplay to make sure it plays right...
Hey, welcome back. There are options in Twitch as well, aren't there?
When we start the game. Finally, I'm going to take this right here and move it up to kind of stand on this line.
Resolution
for
and all
our
that.
graphics for now. We'll add more animation.
Right, let's go back a little bit.
Nearest, which will immediately make our pixel art look crisp. Then we can select
Yeah,
our
it's
animated sprite.
normally much
Let's try
easier on
playing the
YouTube.
animation. That looks great. I'm going to increase the FPS here to 10 to make it go a bit faster. I'm also going to rename the animation here to idle. I'm going to enable autoplay to make sure it plays right when we start the game. And finally, I'm going to take this right here and...
I missed it again. Where's autoplay?
idle. I'm going to enable autoplay to make sure it plays right when we start the game.
Where's...
And finally, I'm going to take this right...
Where is that? He said
Looks
he's
great.
going to
I'm
do
gonna
it, and I
increase
can't see
the
where he
FPS here
clicked.
to 10 to make it go a bit faster. I'm
His
also going
mouse
to
over
rename
there.
the animation here to idle. I'm going to
Renaming.
enable autoplay to make sure it...
There it is. Okay. Here. Autoplay on load. Right. So... on Twitch you only have 1080p as a choice, or auto. Oh, that's weird. Maybe it's a setting on my end that I've not done properly. I know on most channels you do have an option for different resolutions, but maybe that's once you've done either Twitch partner or Twitch affiliates might give you the options. So maybe it's a channel setting that I've got to run through. Just having a quick look on my Twitch dashboard. Can't see anything that jumps out. I'll look into that at some point there. YouTube has got it.
The game. And finally, I'm going to
So
take this
does
right here
Matt's.
and move it up to make it kind of stand on this line. And that's it for our graphics for now. We'll add more animations later. But as you can see, we're currently getting this warning here in the scene view. And if I hover over it, it's going to say that this node has no shape.
Right, so can I move all of it? If I move the character body. Nice. Transform. Position. Y. Can you scroll? You can't scroll. Surely you can scroll. No? Okay. No, I just have to type it in. Okay. Maybe if we just move it like this, then we'll make sure the feet are just on the floor. Nice. Okay, we're saving that. So we have our character.
So it can collide or interact with other objects. And this is because a character body 2D is a physics node. And whenever we're working with physics, we need to define a shape that the physics engine can work with. So let's add a new node. I'm going to press the plus sign here. I'm going to search for collision shape 2D, hit create. And here in the inspector, we can now define a new shape.
So all I really want to do is just get
and drag it up. Somewhere around there looks fine.
character moving
You're
around
probably thinking, well, this is pretty far from our
with
actual
controls,
graphics, but
because
that
it
is
looks
totally
like
fine.
that's actually quite easy to do in
Colliders rarely
Godot.
need to
They've
be
got like
very
a
precise,
built-in
and it's a good rule of thumb to
character
make them a bit
controller.
smaller than the graphics if you need to. Having colliders that are too large is simply going to be frustrating when playing. So let's now rename the top node here
Okay,
to
can we make it a little bit smaller
and
then?
let's save the scene, Control S, as player, hit save. And now we can go into our game scene and simply drag our player in here. So I'm going to go to the top here and drag in the player. We also need to create a camera so that we can control what is currently being shown. So let's add a
I
new
think the
node,
bottom of the
Control
collider
A,
has to be on the
search for
ground
camera
though.
2D, hit create. And now if we press F, we can see that we have this huge camera viewport. This is definitely currently too large, so let's zoom in on our camera.
Okay, let's go back to that because I was doing something else. Let's go back to normal because I want to follow this
So
bit
let's
as well.
add a new node, hit Control A, search for camera 2D, hit create. And now if we press F, we can see that we can control.
So what he's
is
done,
currently
he's just
being
gone back
shown.
to the game.
And simply go here to player. And let's save
Game
the scene,
scene.
Control S, as player.
And then drag
hit
this
save.
in.
And now we can go
No.
into our
Drag
game
this in
scene
here.
and simply
Yes.
drag our player in here. So I'm going to go to the top here and drag in the player. We also need to create a camera so that we can control what is currently being shown. So let's add a new node, hit Control A, search
okay,
for
wait.
camera 2D.
So he's renamed this character body as player. And then when you save that, this should then become player? No? Let's delete it for a second. Let's bring in player again. Now he's called player. Okay. Cool.
Hit create. And now if
And then we're adding a camera to the scene. Oh, camera. What do you use, Zimni, when you do your games? Are you Unity or Godot? I feel like you're Godot, aren't you? Have you been using Godot 4?
If we press F, we can see that we have this huge camera viewport.
Why
This
you
is
press
definitely
F?
currently too large, so let's zoom in on our camera. I'm going to set the zoom
didn't
here
mean
to
that.
4x4 and simply click and drag our camera to be on top of the player.
Ah, nice, yeah. Yeah, I feel like this is much better set out for like for 2D so far. I feel like Unity has got like loads of extra bloat that I've not been using at all. And it just feels so slow sometimes.
And now we can try
You
playing
only
our
used
game.
Godot 4 for modding Domekeep. Ah, okay.
And there you go. We now have a player that is playing an idle animation, and
So what do we do with the scene?
our
Sorry, I
camera
keep
to be
jumping backwards here.
camera view.
So we've
So
added a
let's
camera.
add a new node, hit Control A, search for camera 2D, hit create. And now if we press F, we can see that we have this huge camera viewport. This is definitely currently too large, so let's zoom in on our camera. I'm going to set the zoom here to 4x4 and simply click and drag our camera to be on top of the player. And now we can
You think Godot is way better for 2D, but lacks a bit in terms of 3D? Yeah, I think considering like all of the game jams I've done, I've never done a 3D game. I think until I start messing around with that, I think I just enjoy doing the pixel art side of it too much. Like, maybe let's do a 3x3 rather than a 4. That gives us a bit more space.
try playing our game. And there you go. We now have a player that is playing an idle animation and
Select current.
nothing else is happening. That's because we
Yeah,
need to
just
add
having
a
that
script
build and run
allows
so
us to
quickly.
move around. So let's
Is it
close
running?
our game.
Where's
go into
our window?
player scene, and with our player node selected, let's press this Add Script button. Here we can choose a template.
Down here? There we
Of
go.
course, we're going to do some programming in this video, but writing player movement can quickly become a bit overwhelming. So for now, we'll use the basic movement template provided by Godot. Then later, we'll go in and modify it to play different animations and rebind input to the keys we'd like to use. As for the path here, I'm going to make
I keep on getting distracted with the menus and not listening to what he's saying. But yeah, this feels quite nice setup so far. I think I just prefer the interface really. It feels similar to Unity, but I don't know. When I was watching a couple of videos about how people use it, it seemed to gel a bit more than having to go into all these different menus in Unity and figure out how things work. But
Make
this
sure
will
that
be a
we
good
put
test, I
this
think, this
inside
game
of
jam.
our
We'll see
scripts
how
folder.
it goes
and let's just name it player. Let's hit
and see if I
create.
actually
Each input to the
enjoy
keys
doing
would
it.
overwhelming. Press camera,
Right.
huge camera viewport.
So
And now we can
we
try
did
playing
this.
our game.
We tried playing it.
And
That's
nothing
fine.
else is happening. That's because we need to add a script that allows us to move around. So let's close our game, go into our player scene, and with our player node selected, let's press this Add Script button. Here we can choose a template. Of course,
Okay, so we go into our player scene. With our player selected, we're doing add script.
we're going to do some programming in this video, but writing player movement can quickly become a bit overwhelming. So
And
for
this
now,
script
we'll use
has
the
gotta go
basic movement
in our
template
script.
provided by Godot. Then later, we'll go in and modify it to play different animations and rebind input to the keys we'd like to use. As for the path here,
Yeah,
I'm
so
gonna
this
make
is
sure that
what
we put this inside of
I thought
our
was quite good is that they've got a basic movement thing
scripts
already.
folder, and let's just name it player. let's hit create. And as you can see, this creates
That's
a
fine. That's
script
called
that will
player.
move around our character.
Inherits.
I know that this might look really confusing at first, but
Create.
don't worry, we'll have a look at what.
And then we'll have a quick look at this. So, speed 300, jump velocity. Okay, so there's none of this F for float stuff that we use in C#. We define a function with a parameter and an output or a return value. And it uses indentation kind of like, is it Python that does indentation for scope? I feel like we're a bit like that. So if not is on floor, and this is a function somewhere else, which has been defined somewhere else. It's extremely similar to Python. Yeah, I've done a little bit of Python in the past, but that's got to be a good number of years ago now, so have to be a bit of a reminder on how it all works. But it looks pretty straightforward so far. So yeah, if we're not on the floor, velocity is a rate of change times the get gravity. Okay, if action just pressed UI accept and on floor, so this is our jump input and this is our direction left and right input. Okay, your job is programming in Python, so it feels like home. That's quite it's quite handy actually. Yeah, it's not very similar to JavaScript, and I don't think JavaScript really applies very well.
What this means later. For now, let's just try playing. And our player immediately falls off the screen. That's because we need to give him a collider to stand on. Right now, our player has a collider, but it doesn't have anything to collide with. So in our game, I'm going to go back to the 2D view at the top here. This is where we can change from script view to 2D. Let's add a new node. So let's hit the plus sign.
In our game,
add a static.
So we're going to save that.
2D. And this is another type of physics body. It's the one we use for things that don't need to move. That's
and we're
going to
add
static.
Floor,
so it's perfect for creating some ground.
Body 2D.
Again,
yes.
This is going to give us this warning here that it needs a shape. So let's add a collision shape. So I'm going to hit Control A. Search for collision shape. And for the shape here,
collision shape,
a new world.
It's going to be a lot of remembering
shape.
what the right term is as well.
It's a type of collider that is perfect for stuff like, well, world boundaries. Because it's going to extend infinitely on the horizontal axis here. So as you can see, it's currently pointing up. We could also point it to the side here. And now it's going to extend infinitely on the vertical. I'm going to hit Control Z to undo that. Instead, I'm going to select the entire static body here. I'm going to change to the move tool by pressing this icon here or simply W.
That looks fine.
And I'm going to move it down under our character. Then I'm going to go back to our select tool, which is here, or simply press Q. And while our collider doesn't
I'm quite happy with it being directly on the ground, that's fine.
We can now play. And there we go. Our player now gently lands on the collider and we can move around using the arrow keys and jump with the spacebar. Now,
okay, fingers crossed. Does that happen for me as well? Arrow keys and jump with the spacebar. Cool. So I would like to use WSD as well, but that's okay. We can come back to that. Oh, it's so easy just to get things running. I feel like this would take way more time, or it just takes me longer to set up in Unity. You got to import the new input system and set up individual inputs and all that kind of stuff.
Modify our script to change that. Let's close our game, go into our script, and at the top here there are two constants that we can modify: our speed as well as our jump velocity. So I'm going to set the speed to something less like 130 and the jump velocity to say -300. And now
I've not decided yet.
it looks and feels.
I think what I was going along the lines of is like the idea of like having blueprints for various items. So then you have to find items in the environment that you can then scale to different sizes to combine to make other items. So it might be some kind of puzzler. It could be like a puzzle platformer. But I want there to be like a machine that you pass in an item and you choose what scale you want it to come out at. And then with that, you kind of make you do your crafting side of things. But I don't know, that's just what came to me with initial thoughts. We'll have to see. At the moment I'm just doing this so I've got like a setup for the game and actually know how to do stuff in Godot, and then we'll figure out what we're doing with that. I feel like kind of escape room / hidden object kind of vibe to the game, but I've done this before where I started with an idea and then like an hour later I'm like, actually there's another idea that would be better.
So let's build a world to explore. World building 1.0. So to build a world,
I'm not too fussed about doing the world building stuff.
Here, we're going to build an actual ground.
Because in terms of this assets and all that kind of stuff, that's when I start doing the pixel art stuff, platforms, moving platforms, that kind of stuff we can come back to. And then the actual mechanics and stuff like that. So I feel like maybe just knowing dying player text and score stuff maybe is worth having a quick look at, but I think this is going to be less so to actually try now and more just so that I've got a vague understanding of how it's going to work. So let's skip back onto here and we can hide the research screen for a second.
Elements to our game. Text. There are multiple ways of working with text in Godot, as part of a larger UI or as an integrated part of the game world. For this game, I decided to try making the text part of our world. In Godot, a text node is called a label. So let's add one. Let's hit Ctrl A and search for a label. Let's focus on it. And as you can see, this creates kind of a bounding box.
Okay, so we can add the text in game
and scale it up a bit. And let's add some text in the field here. I'm going to put in a gameplay hint. And as you can see, the text looks really blurry. That's because since we're using pixel art, we're actually zoomed in really, really far, which makes the otherwise smooth text appear blurry. So we can fix this by using a pixelated font with hard edges to match our style. I've of course included some in the assets. So let's go under theme overrides on our label, fonts, and here we can drag in the pixel operator font. We can also change the font size under font sizes here, enable that, and I'm going to set mine to 8. Note that we have to use multiples of 8 in order for the text to appear crisp. So you can see if I change this to 9, it becomes blurry again. But we can use 16, 24, 32, and so on. I'm also going to go to the colors here and change the font color using the color picker. And now we can place these text elements around our game to provide story or gameplay tips. Once we're happy, we can categorize all of them under a node. So let's create a node, call it labels, and drag all of them.
Okay, that seems okay.
And now when we play, as you can see, they appear as a natural part of our game world. And just like with sprites, because the player character has a greater z-index, it will draw on top. So let's use one of these text elements to display our current score. Score and points. To create a score or coin counter for our game, we need two things. A script that keeps track of our current score, and a label to
speed
display.
Up a little bit here.
It's common practice to place game-wide variables such as a score inside some kind of game manager. So let's make one. We'll hit Ctrl A to add a new node. Let's rename it Game Manager, and I'll place it right at the top here. The reason why we are using a regular node and not a node 2D is because we don't need our game manager to have a transform, in other words, a position, rotation, and scale. Now let's add a script to our game manager. We'll use the empty template, and for the path here, let's put it inside of our scripts folder, and let's also rename it with non-capital letters. Create. And let's create a variable for our current score. So we'll write var for variable, name it score, and default it to 0. Now, so far in our code, we've only used the built-in functions of Godot, and some that we made with signals. In this case here, we want to create our own function that adds a point to our score and displays it. So I'll write func for a function. We'll name it add point.
What about like menu screens? Is there...
On a new line, we'll write score plus equals 1 to increase our score by 1, and print our current score. Now,
I don't think it's going to go into
the
this.
start of our game and our signal
I'm just thinking like the main menu and all that kind of stuff. And
that calls it. So right now our function is here, but it isn't being run. To change this, we need to go into our coin script and tell it to call this function whenever a coin is picked up. So inside of our coin script, we need a reference to our game manager. But if we just click and drag while holding down control, we get this really weird looking path. This is because the game manager is higher up in the tree than the coins. And it's generally bad practice to use paths like this that try to access nodes at the same level or higher in the tree. Luckily, because our game manager is a one of a kind and we are sure that there will always be only one game manager, we can solve this by marking it as unique. So let's right click our game manager and select access as unique name. As you can see, this creates a percentage icon next to the game manager, letting us know that it's a unique node. This makes it much easier and safer to get a reference to the game manager, because now when we drag it in, instead of a dollar sign with a weird and unpredictable path, we get a percentage sign, which means that Godot quickly finds the node via its unique name instead of using a path. One limitation of this
is that how you make what are they called? There's time for it. Singletons. You just like mark it as a singleton. That's all you have to do.
Now in our function, we can replace the print line here with game manager, access our game manager, and call the function add point. And now when a body enters our coin, it's going to go to the game manager and run our add point function.
Seems so much better.
If we play, we can see that every time we pick
this seems like my kind of programming.
It increases and prints our score in the output window. Finally, we can use what we learned about labels in the previous chapter to create one for displaying our coins. I'm going to make a little place for this in our level. For now, I'll just put in some text that says you collected X amount of coins. I'm also going to change the auto wrap mode to word. Now we can wrap our text and the horizontal alignment to center. Finally, I'll use a bolder font. Now we can take this label and rename it to something like score label. And since we want to change it from our game manager, let's drag it right under our game manager. Now in our script, we get a reference by clicking and dragging, holding down control. And instead of printing our score, we'll go into our score label and access the text property and change it to you collected. And then here I'm going to add the number, add the score onto that amount of coins. Notice how I make sure to add spaces between the words. And while this looks good, it's actually going to give us an error. And that's because we need to change this score here from a whole number variable called an integer into a text variable called a string. Again, we'll talk much more about variables in our video on GDScript. But for now, we can cast this using str for string and then wrapping it in parentheses. And now when we play, pick up some coins along the way here. Once we get to the end, it says, great job, you collected 6 coins. And if I pick up another one, it's going to update to 7. Awesome. And I don't know about you, this is great and all, but I think it's distinctly lacking a bling sound when we pick up a coin. Bling, bling, bling. Bling. Audio. One of the things that often get overlooked when making a game is audio, but music and sound effects are a huge part of building the mood of your game. This is of course a beginner's tutorial, but let's at least get our feet wet, or should I say our ears wet? Nope, I shouldn't. Let's at least add a music track and a pickup sound for our coins. Now in the assets, I've included a music track as well as a few sounds. And to play these, we need a new type of node, the audio stream player. So let's add a new node, search for audio stream player 2D. Let's rename this to music. Then we can take our music track here, Time for Adventure, and drag it into the stream slot. We're also going to set it to autoplay. And by default, this is not going to loop. To change that, let's double click it. This is going to open up our audio importer. Here we can preview our music track. Groovy. Anyways, we can loop. So let's enable loop here and hit re-import. Now by default, all sounds are...
Okay, that all seems quite cool. I think I've got a good idea, at least within that video, can find the bits we need. I just realized I disabled the overlay of the video on my preview screen, but not on the actual live screen. That's fine. Okay. So audio seems okay. Controls and input seems okay. All the scripting seems understandable. So maybe it's just a case of doing some brainstorming then. I would quite like to do horror. Let's put some music back on. Oh, that's a bit loud now. Let's drop it back down to here. Um, so I think what I probably need to do now is just have a little bit of a think about features and about how this game's going to work, and then come back and try and start implementing stuff. What have I got on my schedule? From about 11ish, doing the first basic graphics pass. It's 7 now. Let's have a think of inspiration and that kind of stuff. I kind of like this. Let's do this shortlist. So, blueprints for items. Resizing things. Things. And combining. So it's going to be like tools for you to use, or weapons. So this will be like blueprints, or tools / weapons. And it could be like a hidden object / puzzle platformer. So how are we gonna... I feel like if we've got a machine that resizes things, we can go down one of two routes. It's either going to be technological, or it's going to be fantasy. Oh, didn't mean to. Let's do this. Duplicate. So, game style. Could do technology. So machine to change the scale of things, of objects, and wait, I need this on new lines. Do that. Doesn't this automatically do bullet points? Yeah. Machine to combine into tool / weapon for use. Cool. Or fantasy and fantasy / magic. So then again, it'll be the same idea, but without machines. So you'd have spells that would be able to do it. I kind of like the idea of having a machine, because then it's fixed to a location in the game rather than something that you can do anywhere. Which means you're less likely to get stuff like stuck. If you can change the scale of things anywhere, Has that got to the end of that list already? Let's go for... Let's do a Pokemon one. Yeah, with Fantasy and Magic, I suppose you could still link it to like an area that you can form the magic. But I think technology would be better. And I think the style of it could be more interesting. But then how do we tie in horror? I kind of want to do horror as well. We'll see. I think I need to just go and have a little think about ideas here and come back in a bit. And also it's almost dinner time now. So what I might do is wrap up now and then come back in an hour or so. And we'll have a look at any ideas I've come up with in the meantime. Start looking for reference images and stuff like that, and then we'll do a first pass on Sprite for pixel art. But yeah, I'm quite glad that all the stream stuff seems to be working fine. Got no idea if any of the Twitch setup is all still working. It seems to be. It's complaining about bitrate, but I think that's fine. So, I think we'll go down the technology route. Sorry, I'm just I'm just trying to think through these ideas. It's not great stream content, but it's all part of the process. I like the idea of blueprints. I like the idea of a machine that scales items. I assume that's something that's just an option in here. Like, do we have scaling? Transform? Yeah. So I assume we can reference this. So we go to like script on here. UI accepts. Can I do like references to this? Oh, it's just called scale. Okay. So maybe if we go to our player and we take the player here, which is ourself. Okay. I want to take the scale, the whole scale. global scale, scale property. Back to node 2D dot get scale dot set scale. Let's just try this on our jump, and we just say scale dot x. How do we get a reference to the player? Maybe it's just scale. Let's just try that. Cannot assign type int as vector 2. Scale.x. Seems to like that. Scale.y. So if we jump, we should double our size. Let's just see if that works. Because if that's how easy it is, then it should be fine to do this idea. Yeah. Okay. That's quite straightforward. So setting the scale of objects can just be a case of having like a dial on the front, so we can have it set to certain scales, because obviously we don't want like a 0.5 or something like that, because then we can't guarantee the pixel art's going to line up properly. So we did like 1.3 for example. What does that look like when it comes out? Is it going to look weird? I mean, it seems to align fine. All right. Well, we'll just try it out and see what works. So yeah, okay, I'm gonna stop stream here. I'm gonna go and make some food, have a little think, and then come back maybe in an hour or an hour and a half or something like that. And I think when we come back, we're gonna just think about, we'll get some reference images for like the mood of what the game's gonna look like. I think we're gonna do like some technology stuff. I mean, you could go like down like SCP kind of route, because they've got a big machine. What's the machine in the SCP? This one, the upgrade machine. Intake and output. Yeah, the large clockwork device. Because that's like horror adjacent. And also similar kind of idea. Okay, let's leave it there. Don't know if anyone's in chat. Do you want me to raid? There's a few, apparently. I think I might leave raid for now, because it's going to take me a little while to figure out to remember how to do it all. Unless I've got anything running. Oh, there's good filters now. Same category, similar size or smaller. Is anyone doing GMTK? There's a few, but I'm not going to do that now. I'm just going to end stream and I'll be back later on this evening. So thanks everyone who's popped in. Hope it's been interesting so far. And yeah, yeah, it's been good to be back. Thanks, Snell. Hopefully see you during the weekend or later on. We'll see. Have a good one. See you, Zimni. Hope you're having a good holiday. And yeah, see you guys soon. Cheers.